like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to our deep dive this week. We're tackling a weekend of Premier League football that, well, let's just say it kept everyone on the edge of their seats.
Absolutely edge of your seat stuff.
We're going deeper than just the scores, though. We're going behind the scenes with the Independence Live blog.
Yeah.
Gonna uncover the real drama, the stories that make this sport so captivating. Buckle up, folks.
It's amazing, how quickly fortunes can change in football. 1 minute a team's flying high, the next, well, they're fighting an uphill battle. This weekend was like a masterclass in those sudden shifts. You had unexpected heroes, some, managerial head-scratchers, and enough controversial calls to keep those post-match debates going for weeks.
Weeks, at least. Okay, let's kick things off with the match that everyone's still buzzing about, Tottenham against Chelsea.
Yeah.
A 4-3 final score. Chelsea pulls off this incredible comeback, but honestly, the numbers don't even begin to tell the whole story.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
You've got to look at how those goals happened, the flow of the game. Tottenham, they come out strong, 2-0 lead early on, and you start to think, okay, maybe Chelsea's cracking under the pressure.
Right, you get that feeling.
Then you've got Marc Cucurella, their defender. He makes a couple of mistakes that are just not like him at all. And then he even has to switch out his boots mid-game. It makes you wonder, was it fatigue? Nerves getting to him? It's those tiny things, those seemingly insignificant details that can unravel a team's entire game plan.
They really can. Then enter Cole Palmer. 2 penalties, and one of them, a Panenka, that chipped shot right down the middle of the goal. Talk about a high-pressure situation. Have you ever, attempted a Panenka?
Oh, I'd probably just pass out from the stress.
Me too.
But for Palmer, it's a bold move, especially for a young player. It shows a level of confidence it's remarkable. And it wasn't just the penalties. His performance throughout the match was crucial, shifting the momentum. He had a hand in Enzo Fernandez's goal, too, pulling the strings, dictating the play. Really impressive stuff.
He was everywhere. And then, of course, you've got Jamie Carragher, a legend in his own right, saying Palmer's already achieved more than Gianfranco Zola, another Chelsea icon.
Whoa.
A bit over the top, maybe, but it definitely gets you thinking. Is Palmer the real deal? Are we witnessing the birth of a superstar?
It's interesting, though, because Palmer's performance wasn't just about individual skill. His energy, his audacity, it seemed to lift the entire Chelsea team. It's a great example of how one player with the right mindset can be a catalyst for change for the whole team.
Absolutely, that ripple effect. It's a shame, though, because not all the attention Palmer got was positive. The Independent reported that he was targeted by some Tottenham fans. It's a reminder that sometimes passion spills over into, behavior that has no place in the game.
A real shame.
Yeah.
Because the essence of football, it's about the shared experience, that collective joy, the heartbreak. When negativity overshadows that, it diminishes the sport for everyone.
It really does. Okay, let's switch gears to another match with its fair share of drama, Leicester City's draw with Brighton, 2-2 the final score. But this one is a textbook example of never give up.
All right. Yeah.
Leicester, they were down 2-0, but they clawed their way back. It was truly a sight to behold.
And what makes it even more remarkable is that this was only Ruud van Nistelrooy's second game managing Leicester.
Wow, yeah.
Think about it. He's a legendary striker known for, being absolutely clinical in front of the goal. Now he's trying to instill that same killer instinct in his team. Could he be the missing piece Leicester has been searching for? It's a question a lot of people are asking.
Those late goals by Vardy and de Cordova-Reid, they were full of grit, determination. It felt like Van Nistelrooy had, breathed new life into the squad. You could almost feel the shift in energy on the pitch.
It's a great point because it ties into this bigger trend in the Premier League, the impact of new managers shaking things up. Look at what Unai Emery did with Aston Villa last season. It highlights how a fresh perspective, a different approach, can completely revitalize a team.
It really is fascinating. Okay, while we're talking about surprises and changes, let's touch on a few other matches that had everyone talking.
Sounds good.
There were some real heartbreakers out there. Ipswich Town's loss to Bournemouth, for example. They led for most of the match, but just couldn't hold on. I can't imagine how frustrating that must be for their fans, especially as they're still looking for their first home win this season.
Oh, it's got to sting. Being so close to victory, only to see it slip away.
Speaking of twists and turns, how about the Crystal Palace and Manchester City match? Rico Lewis, a young City player, scores a goal and then gets sent off. What a roller coaster of a game for him.
Talk about a mixed bag of emotions. And that red card, well, it could have serious repercussions for City in their upcoming matches. It raises a point, though, about that fine line between youthful exuberance and strategic discipline. Sometimes raw emotion can be both a gift and a curse.
Absolutely. And then off the pitch, we had a real shocker. Dan Ashworth, Manchester United sporting director, leaves after only 5 months on the job. That's got to raise some eyebrows. What's the story there? Internal disagreements, strategic differences. Someone spill the tea.
I know, right? It definitely adds to the mystery surrounding Manchester United. It's a club with such a rich history, but they've faced some serious challenges lately. This sudden departure just suggests that there's a lot happening behind the scenes that we're not privy to.
Lots of whispers and speculation. And just when you thought we couldn't squeeze in any more drama, the Merseyside derby, Everton versus Liverpool, gets postponed. Storm Dara decided to make an appearance.
Oh, yeah.
You have to feel for the fans who were so pumped for that clash.
It's a reminder that even in a sport as meticulously planned as football, Mother Nature can throw a wrench in the works.
You can't control the weather.
And rescheduling a match of that scale, with both teams having such packed schedules, it's going to be a logistical nightmare.
A nightmare. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, but we're just getting started. Still to come, we'll delve deeper into Manchester United's unexpected loss and Arsenal's title hopes taking a hit. Don't go anywhere.
All right, let's unpack that Manchester United loss to Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford. A 3-2 final score. It's a result that, well, I think it left a lot of people scratching their heads.
I know, right? After those first 3 wins under Emeram, everyone was jumping on the bandwagon. It felt like maybe, just maybe, Manchester United was back. But this loss, it was a bit of a reality check.
It really was. It shows you the Premier League, it's relentless. You can't afford to ease up, even against a team like Nottingham Forest, who, let's be honest, they haven't exactly been setting the league on fire this season.
Nope. Not at all.
And you can't ignore the irony, right? Forest's manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, he used to manage Manchester United.
Oh, yeah.
I bet he was pretty thrilled with this victory.
I'm sure he was.
And that inside knowledge, right? That familiarity with United's players, their tactics, it probably played a role in their win. It shows how valuable that managerial insight can be, knowing your opponent's weaknesses and how to exploit them. But this loss also, it highlights some of those recurring issues for Manchester United. The Independent pointed out individual errors, vulnerability on counterattacks, struggles in midfield. Does any of that sound familiar?
Ugh, it's like this stuck in this loop, repeating the same mistakes over and over again. I get that Emeram's still finding his feet. He's new to the job, but how long until we see some real, tangible progress?
That's the million-dollar question. He inherited a team with pre-existing problems, and fixing those, it takes time. It takes tactical adjustments, maybe even some new personnel. I think that January transfer window is going to be crucial for him.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so Manchester United's title hopes took a hit, but they're not alone. Arsenal, who've been looking so dominant this season, they drew 1-1 with Fulham. And it wasn't just the result, it was the way it happened.
Oh, that disallowed goal by Saka, right?
Yes.
So close, a matter of millimeters, and VAR rules it offside. It's got to be frustrating for Arsenal fans, especially because those fine margins, they could be the difference between winning the title and, well, not.
I was reading Mikel Arteta's post-match comments in The Independent, and you can just sense his frustration. He was talking about how those millimeters can decide crucial moments, and he's not wrong, is he?
No, he's absolutely right, and it brings up that whole debate about VAR. It's supposed to make the game fairer, but it also introduces this new level of controversies, those tiny details, those split-second decisions that can completely change the outcome of a match.
It's true. And this draw, it disrupts Arsenal's momentum, gives other teams a chance to close the gap. It's a reminder that the title race is far from over.
And that's what makes it so exciting, isn't it? The unpredictability, the constant shifts in power. Any team can beat any other on any given day. Think back to Leicester's comeback against Brighton. That's the beauty of this league.
It really is. Okay, before we move on, let's quickly touch on a few other things. Chelsea has a Conference League match coming up against Astana. Might not be as high profile as the Premier League, but it's still a valuable opportunity for them.
Definitely. It gives them a shot at a trophy, some experience in European competition, and maybe a chance to give some of their younger players a run out. It's all about building momentum and developing as a team.
Exactly. And looking ahead in the Premier League, Chelsea's next match is against Brentford and Tottenham face Southampton. I've already got those circled on my calendar.
Should be some great matches. It's always interesting to see how teams respond after a tough result or how they capitalize on a good performance. The Premier League, it never fails to deliver the drama.
This weekend was a whirlwind, to say the least. Stunning comebacks, controversial calls, managerial shakeups, even a storm-induced postponement, enough to make your head spin. You know, as we look back at all the action this weekend, one thing that really struck me was the power of individual brilliance. We talked about Cole Palmer earlier, but honestly, his performance for Chelsea, it deserves another shout-out.
Yeah, it's amazing how one player can just change the whole energy of a match. Palmer's 2 penalties, especially that Panenka, it was like he injected this confidence, this swagger into Chelsea that Tottenham just couldn't handle.
It made me think, have we ever seen a Panenka in such a crucial moment? It's like he was playing a different game, outsmarting everyone with a move nobody expected. It takes a special kind of player to pull that off.
And it's not just the skill, right? It's the mental game. Imagine you're the goalkeeper, you're expecting this powerful shot, and then bam, this slow chip comes floating in. It's got to be demoralizing.
Completely throws you off guard. And it's not just Palmer. We saw it with other young players this weekend, too. Rico Lewis with that goal for City before the red card. It feels like there's this new wave of talent coming through, ready to make their mark.
It's a great time to be a Premier League fan. These young players, they're fearless, they're creative, they're not afraid to take risks. They're pushing the boundaries of the sport.
But individual brilliance, it's not always enough. We saw the other side of that coin with Manchester United. Their loss to Forest, it was partly down to those individual errors, those moments where experience and composure, they really make all the difference.
Yeah, and it's interesting because those errors, they often happen when the pressure's on. Playing for a club like Manchester United, it comes with this weight of expectation.
Yeah.
You know, every little mistake gets magnified.
Makes you think about the mental side of the game, staying focused, making the right decisions under pressure. That's a skill in itself.
Absolutely. And that's where the manager's role becomes so vital. It's not just about tactics and formations. It's about building that resilience, creating a team that can bounce back from setbacks, that can learn from their mistakes.
Speaking of managers, we've got to give Ruud van Nistelrooy credit where credit's due. 2 games in at Leicester City, and you can already see his impact. That comeback against Brighton, it was something else.
It's like he's given them this newfound belief, a sense of purpose. His style, that attacking mindset, that never-say-die attitude, it's clearly rubbing off on the players.
Makes you think about the power of leadership, right? Inspiring a group of players to achieve something extraordinary. That's what makes football so captivating. It's this blend of individual talent, team spirit, and just a touch of magic.
You said it. And this weekend was a perfect example of that. We had it all: crazy comebacks, controversial decisions, managerial shakeups, even a storm throwing a wrench in the works. It just goes to show you never know what's going to happen next in the Premier League.
This deep dive has been a wild ride, to say the least. We've broken down the matches, analyzed the tactics, and I think we've got a pretty good grasp on the bigger picture. So, final thoughts. What should our listeners take away from this roller coaster weekend?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the Premier League is constantly evolving. New stars are rising, established teams are facing challenges, and that race for the title, it's closer than ever. It's a reminder that in football, like in life, things are always changing.
So true. So keep your eyes peeled, folks, because the Premier League, it never disappoints. Who knows what next weekend will bring? Until then, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.